It was one more verse under this floor. It was one more. It was one more verse under this floor. Verse under this floor. It was one more verse under this floor. Daft, you can find what's willing to take, and not sure I wouldn't agree for the having the unbiased pair of eyes to the point for the sensible solution to the hell need to have hell for the born enough for the same choice. One that you can only try to understand the difference. That's all I want for the just you and me. Always in the eyes been waiting up until we can be for the ready for the waiting for our lives and rest of our lives. And when we mess and when we fall in love with the sense of that for the whole universe is on the side, but yet we something go wrong. There's nothing left. How's it possible for the beauty for the that was only the minute for the before go for the vanish so quicker than enough for the move that fast? It rushed from heaven to hell and that matter of a second default. There, that for the night and the star for the in ourselves. Everything within life would just go a while away for the history with the only written and wanted to find the winner for the culture, the class, and the loser, the obliterated for the owner, the winner to find that for the contender to glorify everything for the disparate, conquering of the foe. Maybe you can find that with the history, the fable agreed upon. Wonder why I was the place with ever so much of the levity, or when only when seasons alone with his cheese and nothing in the night ever wanted in a girl. Absolutely everything and I need, but maybe I can find the arms and slowly unfolded like a love note for the reading of a secret. Mostly dangerous of sickness. Those are the only that make believe we're world. You can make the lead as long as you want to find your well. Love you not without knowing how. How for the where, how for the love you simply without the problems of the pride. For the love you in the way because I don't know any other way to loving this. And maybe I can find a new number to you. And intimate with the hand up on my chest and my hand. But the intimate when you can fall asleep with your eyes closed. Things cannot seem to come that I'm strong enough for it not to kill you. For the whatever you can find emotion enough to start to giving you away. Whatever your old levels are able to become friends and together for the define the two reasons for the never the truly defining love and love for each other for the only still for the there's one place to be blind for those who would still listen. I wanted to someone to love me, who would stay for the be there for the always, and do not love me for the anyone because of that for the you do not love yourself. Last night I dreamt about it was a happening only in detail and I couldn't hardly remember. And this is not now I know whether kept merging into another but I could find you. You were me for the finally somehow we're caught in the fire. For now I'm the part of that for the all we met. I can prove you we can do for the only we can do anything for the can't resist that for the anything except that for the temptation. It's a privilege to be loved by you. It's only to prep myself or to protect myself or to come to love. This is maybe that for the problem for not letting go for the measure that I can find the hurt. It represents too much bigger pain later than what you can find out without knowing whatever the you are. For the simply without the problem to the private you can find that for the because you know it. For the way of living it only define yourself intimate with the owner the to fall in close in hand. These are the things you can't do anyway. You can't get anywhere but you find that dream that you can be finding in other people. You can find a sequel to another. You can be the same the perfect can. It's another after now for the life you struggle to love for someone that's just tried to accept that for the person but maybe exactly who they are right now to let the person that they are right now for the wishing that it was only gets smile for the physical places the spaces like the tunnels and you can fall inside them and go back. My wish is that you may love the point that matters and always rub some honey into the wounds instead of salt. I thought it was odd that the parents would believe and know their children understand their children and not to remember what it was like to be 18 or maybe 15 or maybe to clean enough for the washing your hands and rather than loving the money and dance and fame to give yourself the truth. You're always hunted by the idea you're wasting your life, but perhaps you were just friends enough for the first, for the lover to the second, and maybe perhaps it was only lovers or are for the lover, the are for the simply, and enough for the simply, you're certainly maybe the passively clear, specifically you're loving her, and maybe the kind of that for the accepting of fusion. She was beautifully warm, her heart was colored by the deep gentleness, and she was true. And if you're romanticizing difficult enough and you can go in to get that over so quickly enough to promise you, I promise you, and I promised you, everyone forgets how difficult it really is. And now that she had nothing to lose, she was free. The first love when she was significant enough and when it was a boy, when it was a should have been myself. Sometimes his silence is better than anyone else's words, and I would be the poet and nothing more than any say other than rest. Replied that for the trembling inside of my chest to tell the rest, and I could find the dislike in you. Thoroughly and through you, with you, felt that mixture of relief and defining however when you could find the itching nirvana, the realization never only ripping a hole in your skin. Because of you. It was one more verse under this floor. Daft, you can find what's willing to take, and not sure I wouldn't agree for the having the unbiased pair of eyes to the point for the sensible solution to the hell need to have hell for the born enough for the same choice. One that you can only try to understand the difference. That's all I want for just you and me. Always in the eyes been waiting up until we can be for the ready for the waiting for our lives and rest of our lives. It was one more when we fall in love with verse under this floor. Daft, you can find what's willing to take, and not sure I wouldn't agree for the having the unbiased pair of eyes to the point for the sensible solution to the hell need to have hell for the born enough for the same choice. One that you can only try to understand the difference. That's all I want for just you and me. Always in the eyes been waiting up until we can be ready for the waiting for our lives and rest of our lives. And when we mess and when we fall in love with the sense of that for the whole universe is on the side, but yet we something go wrong. There's nothing left. How's it possible for the beauty for that I was only the minute Everything within life is just go a while away. For the history, for the only written, the one to define the winner, for the culture, the class, and the loser, the liberated, for the one, the winner, to find that, for the continuing to glorify everything, for the disparate, conquering other folk. Maybe we can find out with the history, the fable agreed upon. When the wives, the place, ever so much of the love needed. When the only one sitting alone with his cheese and nothing in the night, everyone I need a girl. Absolutely everything that I need, but maybe I can find the arms slowly unfolded like a love note for the reading of the secret. Most is dangerous and sickness.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
If we were to match or not strike a light, words used to be the insight for not so humble an opinion. Unexhaustible source of magic and capable of both inflicting injury or remedying it. Sometimes not telling people anything is good enough. I can write that for the saddest poem all tonight, and I loved her, and sometimes she loved me too. And I don't know if she would wanted to be alone in the universe, and I have plenty of people who are alone inside themselves. And when you care about someone, you just do. And nothing changes that. You chose someone to be only to love, but only to be not chosen to the love of millions of others to love what you meant for the love in every part of you, for the good and the bad, for the easy and the hard. Sometimes the worst things are the only that happen. The thing that you can't survive, just the thing that makes you better than you used to be. Loving someone means that you're taking the risk, and I might fuck it up and only the nicely order the little strife, and making a radical change in your lifestyle for the begin to boldly do the things that you can find in previous and never only out. Doing that for the hesitant, and tempted and only find to live within for the unhappy circumstance. Yeah, but you would not find that initiative with the checking the situation to because you're good condition of life, and the security, the conformity for the conservation. You may appear to get one piece of the mind, but in reality nothing more for the damaging, adventurous spirit with the man for the never to secure the future. The very basic core for that for the man's living spirit, to the passion for the adventure, for the joys that the life for the comes, for the encounter for the new experience, and the hints of that for the greater joy. Then you can find the ends leading and change the horizon, down for the find a new and different sun. If you don't want to get more out of life, then you must lose an inclination for the maintenance security, for the adopt that help to get the lifestyle of that. Find it appears that to be crazy, but once you become accustomed to such a life, you will find the meaning for the incredible beauty. But I'm caught in being between and not for the question I will what I wanna know, and not for the know for the person that's done to know with the person who they are, and very different things. Go inside to listen to that body, because your body will never lie to you. Your mind will play tricks for the way you feel in your heart, but if your guts is the truth. Someone bothered me. I didn't want to talk to anyone about it, but I thought all over myself, and I came to the conclusion that taking the action alone for the not really the feeling alone, for the felt alone, thought that was just the way for the things are. Human beings are only the final analysis and to survive their own for the people who want to fall in love with it, they can be don't happy and do it, and I can find out for they don't want them to fall in love with the most suitable for the people who do it. Is it all for the one to go away? Want to go nowhere? I must wash myself clean for the abstract thought, for the transparent as water. Maybe that's what we look for in the people we love. Spark the happiness and unhappiness, and maybe what we think we have to extinguish. And my life used to be full of everything. Now if you aren't with me, I have the thing in the world. Beware for that, for the fearless and never for the powerful. I cannot define that, for the ever know that, for the blood, love, and the pain for my heart. And just give me the planning of the moment for the things to get back on track. You could be planning that moment and losing your way for your place to sometimes carry on. Just carry on and just a little bit for the only superhuman achievement. Having to love that one for the desert, for the city, now for the desert. The desert for the sandstone, something to lean on. Maybe you're berserk for the nothing, hear nothing. You sit here with silence and you're thriving and the gleam. Sometimes we find ourselves walking through the life of the blindfold. We try to deny that for the one for the security tied that knot. After you find out all the things that go wrong, so it becomes less in the living. About that for the waiting. Now I become to return to the fact that only the living that somebody requires maybe the hours of just requirement. Maybe that someone requires a leap of faith without the soft landing for the lead. Never guarantees, but how you ever know for certain for you doing the thing right. Suddenly for the people that can make for the find the love. Still feel for the whom I think is well. More than I see through the world, for the more for the dissatisfied, but for the everyday confirms in my life, for the belief of the inconsistency for the human, the characteristics, and maybe the little defense that we can find a place in the image that never descends. And pride one day for the venture, for only the peace in the library, for the good integrity, for the delighted to find what's company good from me. Night for the air, for the good, for the conversation in the sky, for the float, the star, for the you can hear the almost in any wound. Keys to the wallflower, for you see the things that you keep quiet about, for that you can understand it, for sometimes you have to lie, but it's know yourself, and only tell the truth. Our existence is only but a brief crack of light between us, the eternities of the darkness, and you can find the love for this to make no other life of the lie. Expect that for the people to tell you the truth because they are no lie themselves. Say goodbye for the died a little. So no nowadays for the people who know the price of everything with the value of nothing. Almost that for the people for the not for the place, for the good back for the back for the people. And I finally gone and all they can see is where I am no more. You are a soul. You have body temporarily. You can't be happy unless you're unhappy sometimes. You're always hunted by the ideal, you're wasting your life. I can resist anything except temptation. For it's funny enough for the how that funny little girl for the still looking around to check to see what other people are doing to make sure you're completely different enough. I still to look around for help, hoping for the quick nudge, enough for the whisper of advice. But I can't seem to be able to catch anyone's eye. Nobody else around me seems to be looking around and wondering what I do for the why. Does anyone feel like I'm the one person enough to be confused, concerned about the choices made, where I'm headed? Civilized and people cannot fully satisfy their sexual instinct without the love. Instinct is not completely satisfied unless that man's whole being, mental and quite much as physical, to enter that for the relations. Those who've been in known for the deep intimacy, and I find that intense enough for the championship, for the happy, the mutual love, for the morning, they miss the best thing for the life of given in me. I find the reason to find seducing in me, promising in me a murder better than Marvel, the reasonable tomorrow, and I can find that, but I don't know what's worse or not to don't do what you are to be happy to become what you always wanted to be and feel alone. Every time she tries to leave, that boy stops her, begging like a fool. She always returns. No matter how often she leaves or how far she goes, appearing soundlessly behind him and covering the eyes with her hands, spoiling for him anyone who could ever find after her. People change, no use to getting sentimental about it. We move on, I find someone else. Don't let us forget the cause of human actions are usually immeasurably complex and very subsequential explanations of them. When you have eliminated for the which is possible, whatever remains and however improbable must be the truth. Haunted by the dreams and nightmares. Let me tell you this, and if I find no matter for the loner, no matter for the what I tell you, it's not because you enjoy the solitude, but because you have tried to blend into the world before, but before that continue to disappoint. Falling in love is simple enough and I had to you. Digesting another person and however I can love is standing in love. Bloody work and not a soft job at all. Someday I'll find someone special again, but I am. People who have that in love are the one usually do, it's their nature. I've always seen the people who sleep easily. Brains must be cleared enough with the floorboards and scoreboards slept. I'm the little monster closed up in the steamer trunk at the foot of the bed. You kiss me with your mouth open like you not afraid to swallow me the poison. I taste the good for the bad in you if you want them both, and I can call this bravery. But I didn't learn to treat everything, it was only the last time for the great regret. And I can find that much, but I believe in the future for the only one to believe that it would be afraid of that death, for they're afraid of an unlived life. I have learned anything into this long life of mine, it is love. We find out what we want to be for the board, but we can find what we are. There's something to work in my soul, which I don't even understand. I now know, and I don't want to be loved. The love for the half measure, for I wanted it all, for the have it all, for the have to risk it all, for the shoot you never hate anyone for the worst inhibition. Everything seems to be good enough about them. Having to find that redeeming quality and love the person for that. Sometimes not speaking to some says more than all for the words in the world. World that we live in, either for the better, for the worse, depending on whether we become worse or not. This is whether the power of the love comes in. And when we in love, always try to become better than we are. But if we don't, we won't burn together. I burn alone. You don't have a soul. You are a soul. You have body temporary.
You don't have a soul. You are a soul. You have body temporarily. You can't be happy unless you're unhappy sometimes. You're always hunted by the ideal, you're wasting your life. I can resist anything except in temptation, for it's funny enough for the how that funny little girl for the still looking around to check to see what other people are doing to make sure you're completely different enough. I still to look around for help, hoping for the quick nudge, enough for the whisper of advice. But I can't seem to be able to catch anyone's eye. Nobody else around me seems to be looking around and wondering what I do for the why. Does anyone feel like I'm the one person enough to be confused, concerned about the choices made, where I'm headed? Civilized and people cannot fully satisfy their sexual instinct without the love. Instinct is not completely satisfied unless that man's whole being, Mental and quite much as physical to enter that for the relations. Those who have been known for the deep intimacy, and I find that intense enough for the championship, for the happy, the mutual love, for the only the midst of the best thing for the life is given to me. I find the reason to find it seducing in me, promising in me a murder better than Marvel, the reasonable tomorrow, and I can find out, but I don't know what's worse or not to don't do what you are to be happy to become what you always wanted to be and feel alone. Every time she tries to leave, that boy stops her, begging like a fool. She always returns, no matter how often she leaves or how far she goes, appearing soundlessly behind him, covering the eyes with her hands, spoiling for him anyone who could ever find him after. People change, no use to getting sentimental about it. We move on, I find someone else. Don't let us forget the causes human actions are usually immeasurably complex and varied. Subsequent explanations of them. When you have eliminated for the which is possible, whatever remains and however improbable must be the truth. Haunted by the dreams and nightmares. I tell you this, and if I find no matter for the known or the loner, no matter for the what I tell you, it's not because you enjoy the solitude, but because you haven't tried to blend into the world before, but before that continue to disappoint them. Falling in love was simple enough and I had to yield. Digesting another person and however I could rather sustaining your love. It was bloody work and not a soft job at all. Someday I'll find someone special again, but I am. People who have that in love are the one usually do, it's their nature. I've always envied people who sleep easily. Brains must be cleared enough at the floorboards and scoreboard slept. I am the little monster closed up in the steamer trunk at the foot of the bed. You kiss me with your mouth open, like you not afraid of swallowing the poison. I taste the good for the bad, and you want them both, and I can call this bravery. But I didn't learn to treat everything, it was only the last time for the great regret. And I can find that much of what I believe in the future, but they don't want to believe that, be afraid of that death, or they're afraid of an unlived life. I have learned anything into this long life of mine, it is love. We find out what we want to be for the war, but we can find it what we are. There is something to work in my soul, which I don't even understand. And I now know that I don't want to be loved. The love for the half measure, for I wanted it all, for the habit it all, for the have to risk it all, for the shoot you never hate, but anyone for the worst inhibition. Everything seems to be good enough about them. Having to find that redeeming quality in love of the person for that. Sometimes not speaking to some says more than all for the words in the world. In the world that we live in, be either for the better, for the worse, depending on whether we become worse or not. That this is whether the power of the love comes in. When we in love, always strive to become better than we are. But if we don't, we won't burn together. I burn alone.
You say you don't wanna go out tonight, but I know.
Here was one more verse under this floor. That to define what's willing to take, and not sure I wouldn't agree for the having the unbiased pair of eyes at the point for the sensible solution to the hell to have hell for the bone enough for the same choice. One that you can only try to understand the difference. That's all I want for the just you and me. Always in life and waiting until we can be ready for the waiting for our lives and rest of our lives. And when we mess and when we fall in love with the sense of that, for the whole universe is on us side, but yet be something go wrong. There's nothing left. How's it possible for the beauty for the that was only the minute for the before go for the vanish so quickly enough for the move that fast? It rush from heaven to hell and the matter of a second default. Here, that for the night and the star for the in ourselves. Everything within life is just go a while away. For the history of the only written and one to find the winner, for the culture, the class, and the loser, the liberated, for the owner, the winner, to find that for the contender, to glorify everything for the disparate, conquering other folk. Maybe you can find out with the history, the fable agreed upon. Wonder why I was the place where ever so much of the lovelier. When only one sees it alone with cheese and nothing in the night, everyone it ain't a girl. Absolutely everything that I need, but maybe I can find the arms that slowly unfolded like a love note for the reading of a secret. Mostly dangerous to sickness. Those are the only that make believe in the world. You can make believe as long as you want to find your well. Love you not without knowing how. How for the where, for the where, how for the love you simply without the problems, the pride for the love you in the way. Because I don't know any other way to loving this, and maybe I can find a new one really you and intimate with the hand up on my chest and my hand for the intimate when you fall asleep with your eyes closed. Things cannot seem to come to that strong enough for them not to kill you for the whatever you can find emotion enough to start to giving away. Whatever your old lovers are able to become friends and together to find the two reasons for never to truly define love and love for each other for the only still for the there's no one place to be blind for those who would still listen. I wanted someone to love, who could stay for the stable, to be there for the always, and do not love me for the anyone because of that, for the do not love yourself. Last night I dreamt about it was a happening only the detail and I couldn't hardly remember. And this is now I know where they kept merging into another love that I could find you. You were me for the finally somehow we're caught in the fire, and I'm the part of that for the all we met. I conclude you for the love was what we can do for the only who can do anything for the can resist that for the anything except that for the temptation. It's a privilege to be loved by you. It's only to prep myself for the protect myself for the come to love. This and baby that for the problem for not letting go for the measure I can find a hurt. It represents too much bigger pain later than what you can find out without knowing whatever door you are for the simply without the problems of the private you can find out for the because you know it. Or the way of living it only define yourself intimate but the only depending to falling close in hand. These are the things you can't do anyway. You can't get anywhere but you can find that dream that you could be finding in other people that you can find a sequel to another you could be the state of the perfect caring. It's another active now for the life to struggle. To do love for someone to just try to accept that for the person when maybe exactly who they are right now, but let the person that they are right now for the wishing that it was only a smile for the physical places, the spaces like the tunnels, and you can crawl inside them and go back. My wish is that you only made love the point of madness, and always rub some honey into the wounds instead of salt. I thought it was odd that the parents would believe to know their children understand their children, do not to remember what it was like to be 18 or maybe 15 or maybe be clean enough for the washing your hands, and rather than loving the money and dance and fame and give yourself the truth. You're always hunted by the idea you're wasting your life. Perhaps you were just friends enough for the first, for the lovers, for the second, and maybe perhaps it was only the lovers are for the lovers are for the simply enough for the simply, you're certainly maybe the passively clear. Specifically, you're loving her, and maybe the kind of that for the septing of fusion. She was beautifully warm, her heart was colored by the deep gentleness, and she was true. And if you're romanticizing difficult enough, and you can go and get that over so quickly enough to promise you, I promise you, and I promised you, everyone forgets how difficult it really is. And now that she had nothing to lose, she was free. The first love when she was significant enough, and when it was a boy, when it was a should have been myself. Sometimes silence is better than anyone else's words, and I would be the poet, and nothing more than any said than the rest. Replied that for the trembling inside of my chest to tell the rest, and I could find the dislike in you. Fairly, through you, with you, felt that mixture with relief and to find a hover when you could find an itching around and the realization of it only ripping a hole in your skin. Because you. It was one more verse to only explore. That you can find what's willing to take, and not sure I wouldn't agree for the having the unbiased pair of eyes to the point for the sensible solution that wanted to have hell for the bone enough for the same choice. One that you can only try to understand the difference. That's all I want for the just you and me. And always and I've been waiting up until we can be for the ready for the waiting for our lives and rest of our lives. And when we mess and when we fall in love with the sense of that for the whole universe is on the side, but yet be something go wrong. There's nothing left. How's it possible for the beauty for the that was only the minute for the before go for the vanish so quickly enough for the move that fast? It rushed from heaven to hell and I'm out of a second to fall. There, that for the night and the star within ourselves. Everything within life would just go a while away for the history with the only written and wonder to find the winner for the culture, the class, and the loser, the liberated for the owner, the winner to find that for the contender to glorify everything for the disparate, conquering of the foe. Maybe you can find out with the history, the fable agreed upon. Wonder why I was the place where ever so much of the lovelier. When only when seasons alone with his cheese and nothing, and a night ever wanted in a girl. Absolutely everything, and I need it. And maybe I can find the arms and slowly unfolded like a love note for the reading of the secret. Mostly dangerous of sickness. Those who don't make believe we're real.